Thank you, folks. There is so much to discuss here. I was just rewatching a little bit, and it is profound. I'm just taken by those last lines there of the loss of hope, which I know so many people were feeling before October 7th, and now possibly even more so. How profoundly this plays. Please welcome back Reymonde Amsellem.
Hi. Thank you for staying.
Where to start on this one? Tell us a little bit about first of all, the dynamic between the two of you, the two leads here, and the chemistry between the two of you, both of you coming from one of the things I love, and by the way, is how you go from Hebrew to Arabic. I think that might be lost on those who are just watching the subtitles. But do you speak Arabic, and how was your work with Samer Kopti?
I speak Arabic, but not fluently like this character. I needed to work with a coach. Each year I take another teacher and teaching myself. And I'm fond of the Arabic language and culture, so it's a big thing in my life. So it's not foreign to me. In terms of Samer, I got to this audition like feeling this is mine, this role. Like no one else can fit these shoes beside me. And I knew the script 5 years ago before I got this audition, because I was a lecturer in the Israeli Fund, and I knew it as a script, one of his draft. And I remember me reading this script and crying in the end of it, because there was no chance for me to have this role ever. Because the role in the beginning, when he wrote his first draft, was very young, like 25. And I was much older than that. And he had like reason for that, but luckily, this script has been through several stages, and then he decided that she would be my age and like struggling if to be a mother or not. And it suit the stage that I was entirely in my life. And so I got this audition, and I went there like full of confidence. And after I've got the role, we needed to choose who's going to play Yafa. And I had several matches, and Sama wasn't the one that I preferred, I have to say. I preferred another one. I don't know, something in her. I can't even now tell you why, because today we're such a good friend, and I'm like a fan of her, and I love her deeply. But like the characters, we got to know each other very slowly, a bit by bit. We were very suspicious. We had a lot of respect to one another, but it took us time, and I think it's worked terrifically for the film, because it wasn't artificial, the stages, and we did shot this script like chronologically, the way the scenes are in the story. So you could really sense, I think, that we are peeling up ourselves in front of each other.
It's beautiful. The chemistry works beautifully. One of the things I find it also brings out your connection, and places where you disconnect, the contrasts between the two of you, is I think serves a little bit as a metaphor to the culture clash between Arabs and Jews in Israel. And each of you coming from your different spaces, you're being put together, her being a little more rough. There's places where where you're similar, and there's places where you're actually very different.
I think this movie shows that there were supposed to be in another universe the best friend ever, but the reality and the circumstances of life that they had brought them to this situation that they could probably will be never had a chance to have this friendship. And this is so sad, because when we peel from ourselves the mask that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict put on us, and me and Sama, we inherit this conflict, and we're probably going to inherit the same conflict to our children and to their children. It's very sad to say, but it seems that it's a circle that no one's want to end, to put an end to that. And it's something that, how do you say, מעוות? Deformed our soul and our characters, and it defines us in a way that we don't have any choice, this other choice. It seems like that. And I find it very hard for me also, like this character, to think about the future.
It's really, I think the question of motherhood, which comes up there so much, and thinking about that next generation, now to me plays out that yes, is there a future? Would a woman like that who doesn't believe in a future, she says at the end, I don't want to think about the future, meaning, can she not pass this on to that next generation? Will there
the way that we survive, I think, in Israel is because we don't think about the future. I have two little boys, 7 and 10, and the thought about them going to the army when they're 18 are terrifying, and it's terrifying for every woman in Israel. There's so many women in Israel, mothers, that didn't sleep in months, and cannot eat, cannot, do nothing, just thinking about, are they coming back home safely? And today it's not only referred to boys, there's a lot of women also that take place in this serious, never-ending war. So I can see friend of mine that, their life stopped, and until they will released from the army, they cannot breathe. So we are trained of not thinking about the future, just thinking about right here and right now. And I think this is most of our problem as a country, that we don't have a plan to the day after. We don't see forward. We don't aim to nothing else than this present.
So what do you hope that this film will do to an audience?
I hope that this film will remind the audience that there are also people in the other side, simple as that, and they having their pain and their struggles, and the enemy has face, like we have, and they also cry for their children and for their loss, and it's need courage to, especially these days, to even look on their point of view. Even me myself, I find myself very hard to me to even read about what's happening in Gaza now, okay? Because we have so much pain in our side and so many stories that I don't believe that I have any room in myself to contain the pain of the other side. But I think this is what keep us in this freezing position, that we cannot, continue from it. And there is a phrase that Golda Meir said, that the day that they will love their children better than they hate us, it will be an end to that. And I find it in several periods of my life like a charming, sentence, phrase of Golda, because we are the right side, we are the one with the morality. But I don't believe this sentence anymore. I live with Palestinians. My children go to an Arab-Israeli school. They have friends, and I see that the other side love their children same way I love mine. So I cannot believe it anymore, and I won't believe it. And I believe there are people like that, but they are existing in both sides, Israeli and Palestinian. And the extremists, they are like tearing us apart from inside to the outside. And I just pray that sometime in the future we could listen to the other, and they could listen to us, and maybe we will have a future.
I'd love to thank you. I'd love to take some questions from the audience. I know this is a film that that brings out a lot of emotions, and I hope that you can keep your comments respectful and short and in the form of a question. And only men. Oh, one woman has her hand up. She's going to get that. She's getting question number 2. But we're taking one from right on top right now. Just wait for the microphone 1 second.
It's not a question, but I just want to say that I feel it was an excruciating experience to watch this film. And that's precisely why I love it. The excruciation is so important for people and Jews to feel that for Israelis, for many Israelis, it is excruciating. There is no easy answer, but it has to be faced. So thank you for your work.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you. So as you alluded to, we have the privilege here of distance, right? Of kind of holding the pain of both of not just possibly. Some of us may feel that they have the distance and the privilege to do that. So my question is, when you show this movie in Israel, what is the response? Does it generate conversation? Do you feel you're hit? Is what you've intended or what the director intended? Is that happening?
Unfortunately, it didn't succeed in the cinema, like bringing audience, and I quite understand why, because we live the conflict every day, and when you're going to the cinema, you don't want to see a movie about the situation, you want an escapism, you want to get away from that. And unfortunately, people now are in a survival mood, and they don't want to hear any criticism about our situation. And a lot of them thought that this is an anti-Semitic movie. And it hurt me so much to hear that. It was a student of mine that told me that he thinks this is more anti-Semitic than the Protocol of Zion. And we heard a lot of very not nice things, but also people that were very moved and touched and drawn to thinking because they saw that this movie. So it's a half and a half, I guess, and it's complicated. We have a very complicated audience and very intelligent audience in Israel. And maybe we'll be ready to see this movie in a couple of years, but now they just like laid it off.
We do have another question right there in the middle.
I'm just curious. It was obviously a movie about women. You really didn't see men on camera, nor were any of the major roles men. What was that about?
I think you should, if you had a director here, he probably would answer better than my answer, but I will try. He has this very dark humor, Noam Kaplan, and a very precise and point of view. And like the sentence that Norit said to Yafa, the men, how many men won the Nobel Peace Prize? And she said the sentence, a phrase that I really, really love and relate, that They started the war and then they give themselves prizes for ending it. And I think it sums it all up. And there is a survey they did a few years ago. They asked women all over the world what will they do if they know there is no man in the world, okay? And many women wrote very surprising answer, like I would do camping alone. I'd go in the middle of the night to this street or that street. I go in the desert alone. I do many things that, like in the day life, you don't even think about. And I don't blame. I don't think men probably they don't. And I love men. I have 2 boys. I'm married. I love my husband, but what you do, most of them, they are the catalyst for the biggest problem and violence in the world. So this is why Noam wanted to imagine a place that, he wanted to give the stage to the women and to see what a dialogue will come out from that. And the only men that we have, one is on them is on the tree, and this is a very unique and lovely metaphor. And the security guy, the Shabak man. So I think it says it all. It wasn't randomly. It was very well decision that it took.
Am I remembering correctly? Did Noam play the interviewer at the beginning? That's the director, the guy who's interviewing her at the beginning.
He's a very good actor, I must say.
Quite
we have
the role.
one over here, Caroline.
Okay.
And then is this man here, if you missed it.
We're going to take one.
The Sam, it's okay.
Okay. So, I actually have professionally worked on the Israel-Palestine conflict. I feel very sad about your student. I'm not surprised that he had that opinion. I just feel so sad about that. But I'm going to ask a question, not about the Israel-Palestine thing, but about the film itself. And because I am a man who's not so smart in some ways, I didn't understand why is your character constantly changing blouses? And I'm sorry, but I was just wondering that.
I think she doesn't feel comfortable in her skin. And all this movie, all this script, it's not really realistic. It's built from a metaphor upon metaphor. There is a lot of games within the words that I don't know if they're going through the translating very good, because you need to understand Hebrew to understand the game that it does with the names and so many other points within the script. So he is very unique, this director, Noam Kaplan. You should see other of his movies. And I think everything that he chose to put there, it has a lot of meaning behind it. And I think specific about what you're asking, it's that she doesn't feel comfortable in her own skin.
I love it that the director's not here, because you'd never get a straight answer like that from a director. And yes, I agree that the mother's name is Hatikva. It's Tikva. There's like every element in this film really does play into something that you're supposed to think about. And I guess audiences don't always like making movies that make you think, but I'm glad we have a good one here. We have a question up on top.
Yeah, I was really just so moved, and it's just so whatever. But I had a question about the future as the title, because it was so clearly, and you said this in the beginning, it feels so present. And I wonder if the 2 years ago or whenever it was starting to be made, maybe longer before that, it seems almost like, sadly, it's not being accepted in Israel. It seems almost like this happened 5 minutes ago. So I wondered about how you feel about it being something that was made in the past, but seems
it
so
seems
much
even
picture.
If you will show it like in 10 years ago, from now, or 10 years before, we're stuck in the same cycle, the same loop. The last day that we shot this film, 2 years ago, what was it? Oferet Yetzuka, Itan, I don't remember even the name. Muscles, begin to shut all over Tel Aviv. And I remember me going down from the taxi And it was with me the first director, Saleh, a very young Palestinian, and he was like this, shivering, and I'm a mother, I'm much more confident than him, and I like put myself on him, and like it was so surrealistic, this ending and this last day. I don't know. I think sometimes the reality is science fiction, and this is the movies. Maybe I find it very hard to answer you. I'm sorry.
I think we're going to take one more question up on top. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for being here. My first question was taken there, and my second question was there, so I'm moving to my third question, which is when she explained that she changed her target because she couldn't kill the minister, the woman, and that essentially some guy was a pig to her, he was being, crass or whatever he wanted, there seemed like there was going to be a moment where she really connected open. I mean, all through the plot, you're connecting with her. But at that point, I thought the whole movie was just going to be a whole plot twist and that she was going to defend her almost. Can you speak to that moment in the film?
Who's going to defend? Nurit defend Yafa? I don't think Nurit agree with Yafa's doing, not even for a slightest moment. But Nurit understand that a lot of this doing is sometimes randomly. And this is what is so surprising. Like it wasn't something that well prepared. A lot of them goes with scissors or a butter knife, and there's a lot of very very young children that try to do these acts. And I think she understands that even if she will beat the most sophisticated algorithm, what algorithm cannot predict is feelings in the most deep sense of it. And sorry, I'm going to take a sip. Sorry. And I don't think she's going to defend her, but she understands that the circumstances of life for Yafa didn't left her the well her character built any other choice. And when she's telling Yafa mother, I think you were a good mother, she really believes she did all that she can. But there are things that are much bigger than us, and decisions that are not, involve our specific choices. We can give our child the biggest love and cover him with cotton. And one day he will stood up and decide something that we disagree, but, he's on her own. So we cannot control everything, and no algorithm can predict everything. I hope I answered you.
I want to throw one more interesting contrast that exists in the film, which is science and nature, which is something that's also playing out so much throughout that film, and really, from beginning to end, on the small level of knowing your land, to what this all stands for. She's a scientist who's trying to figure out what the nature of a human being is going to be, and I think that I don't expect an answer from that, but I think that's another piece of this film to chew on and to think about. Reymonde, I want to thank you so much for sharing and being here.
Thank you so much. You've been amazing audience. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us. We have a quick turnover here for another film that's starting at 6:30. So please, there's people waiting outside already. You could exit through this side as well, through my right.